Hey, this is Ross with my partner Bob. We have a show called Worldview Matters.
And Ross, as you know, we believe that everything in life is somehow related to how people view the world around them.
Our show is available on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. Also available on the web at bigbrainsmedia.com.
This is the morning edition of the Weather Xtreme video. This is for Wednesday, the 10th of April. I'm James Spann. Temperatures today up in the middle 80s and a severe weather threat tomorrow. We'll take you through this and answer all the questions you have. Let's go first off to some of the Skycam shots. These were captured really early this morning at the somewhat insane hour of 4:45 a.m. It's the downtown Birmingham Skycam looking down 20th Street, looking to the south from the Daniel Building. There's a look at downtown Jasper from the King Building. And way down south, old lifeguard station number 2 at Gulf Shores. Not too many folks are on the beach early this morning. Sky down there is cloudy. Dew points are approaching 70. That's a sign of the times. We must be getting into spring. Got a really nasty-looking trough over the western United States that is progressive. That's moving east. And really, this thing underperformed yesterday, which is good. We had 0 tornado reports and basically hailers across parts of the Great Plains. We hope that keeps up today, but we'll talk about this thing in detail as we go along. And, of course, anytime you see something like that, you know there's going to be a huge thermal contrast. Out west, you got a big blanket of snow, temperatures in the single digits around Denver. And you can see the incredibly sharp gradient on the cold front that is moving through northeast Texas and western Arkansas this morning. But, of course, we're in that balmy air. In fact, temperatures are in the 70s, surging up through the Mississippi River Valley to Memphis and up into southern Illinois. Again, back in the cold air sector, winter storm warnings early this morning for parts of the Dakotas, or South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Even some winter weather advisories down into Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle. The counties in green up north, those are counties under flood watches where heavy rain is going to be a problem. We'll see some big rain from this thing tomorrow. Now, this is the risk from the SPC for today, the standard slight risk, running from the western Gulf Coast all the way up around to New Jersey. Some of the cities involved in this are Shreveport, Jackson, Little Rock, Memphis, St. Louis, Indianapolis, and Pittsburgh. The higher risk, the enhanced 30% risk, is from near Monroe, Louisiana, up to about Indianapolis. And understand, yesterday we saw this as a 45% risk, so again, the SPC guys have backed down a little bit, but still, no doubt there could be some pretty active storms in that zone today across the Mid-South. But all of this stays west of Alabama. We think today and tonight here should be mostly dry. Now, tomorrow, no real change in the risk. All of Alabama is in a standard slight risk of severe weather. And that runs from the Gulf Coast up to Cincinnati. There is an enhancement, a 30% chance of severe weather for a pretty good chunk of Alabama. The models are slower, or at least the GFS is sided now with the slower NAM and the European, so confidence and timing is pretty good. We'll walk you through this here in just a minute. Then on day 3, which is Friday, there's a small slight risk along the coast of North Carolina and up around the Tidewater in Virginia. Yeah, big rains with this thing. Rain amounts of about 2 inches expected. So we could see some localized flooding problems as well. But let's go through the modeling here. This is the GFS, the OZ run, valid at 1 o'clock local time this afternoon. This is at 500 millibars. There's the big trough in the west. And down below that, at the surface, we've got a low, let's see, about 1,008 millibars near Jefferson City, Missouri. And really the bulk of the rain is back in the colder air, post-frontal. But clearly in the warm sector, storms should break out late this afternoon and tonight, affecting places like Little Rock and Memphis and ultimately Jackson. And those will have to be monitored for strong winds, hail, and maybe a few tornadoes. But this is the day we're worried about. I say worried about. We're watching carefully. This is tomorrow. No need to worry about anything. You just have to watch and be alert. This is tomorrow. We got an upper low that's centered north of Omaha, with a trough coming down this way. We note the trough is a little bit negatively tilted now, and when that happens, that tends to enhance the divergence and could enhance a severe weather threat. Just something to note. Down below that, the primary surface low is way north of here, and that's good. It's near Des Moines, Iowa. And the farther north that thing can be, that reduces the amount of the backed winds at the surface and can reduce the tornado threat. And again, this is 1 o'clock local time tomorrow, and the GFS has the main line just entering northwest Alabama, which kind of jives up nicely with the other models. In fact, let's look at the high-resolution NAM. This is valid at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And it has the storms, the main line moving into the state. The one thing that's a little concerning, you can see some discrete cells ahead of the main line over East Alabama. And I think if we do have tornado activity, the primary threat will be on the eastern side of the state. I can't rule out the chance of a tornado over West Alabama, but the better chance on the eastern side, that's where the better instabilities will be as we get into the daytime heating process. And again, the NAM has been fairly consistent in the idea of these discrete cells forming on the eastern side of the state. But along the line, the main threat, of course, is from strong straight line winds. And that is an issue. And again, we encourage everybody to pay attention to severe thunderstorm warnings. Listen to the words within the warnings, and that will tell you the threat, whether it's hail or damaging winds. Now, this is 10 o'clock tomorrow night, and at that point, the storminess is just east of Birmingham. So you can see the NAM is indeed one of the slower models, but it's much like the European. So I think we're going to make a little adjustment in the timing of this thing and go from 11 a.m. until 11 p.m. We've been talking 9 to 9 based on the slower models, and I think this is clearly the right solution. We're going to go 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. The core threat will be tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Let's look at some of the parameters. This is the surface-based instability, and the numbers are a little higher in the OZ runs. Not overwhelming, but they're higher. You can see the surface-based instabilities are at or over 750 joules. And again, you really want to see those things over 2,000 for one of these really high-impact, super-duper type events. But still, that is certainly sufficient instability for severe weather, but not an overwhelming value. This is the wind field, the low-level jet at 850 millibars, about 5,000 feet off the ground. And it looks like there's a little core in there of about 50 to 55 knots coming through here. And that is certainly a very strong wind that will not be that hard to get down to the surface. And that's one of the reasons we think we will see a lot of trees and lines probably blown down tomorrow with strong straight line winds. Shear values are just not overwhelming. This is the bulk shear between the surface and about 5,000 feet, and they're running in the 30, 35 knot range. And again, that's, doesn't exactly hit you in the face as something that stands out. Again, it's supportive of some rotating updrafts, but it's not overwhelming. And finally, the energy helicity index, the numbers have come up a little bit. It's up to a 1. You want to see that number at 1, but the really big numbers are down over the Gulf where the better instabilities are. And one more chart. This is the projected sounding, and I picked a point that's around Anniston at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And we're kind of, you can see the sounding is fairly saturated, and we're watching those projected, the wind profile. And again, there is definitely some veering of the wind with altitudes. So to summarize all of this, we think the main window now will open up a 12-hour window, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. The core threat tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. The greatest chance of a tornado on the eastern side of the state. The overall greatest impact will be from strong, perhaps damaging straight-line winds. And everybody just needs to be close to a source of watches and warnings. All right, Friday, it's out of here. The sky becomes mostly sunny. It will be a little bit of a cooler day, the high close to 70, not overwhelmingly cool. And Saturday, as we kick off the weekend, just gorgeous. We'll start the day down in the 40s. The high should be in the low to mid-70s, just a really nice day. Sunday, probably a few scattered clouds. We'll call it partly sunny. We start to warm back up, the high approaching 80. We note that moisture in the Gulf. And Monday, that moisture surges in here. And this model, a little more aggressive with a chance of showers on Monday. Don't think we'll have any, severe weather. There could be a thunderstorm with this. but definitely a chance of showers and possibly a storm Monday. Tuesday, that muggy air stays in place, the weather kind of unsettled. And on Wednesday, a cold front approaches. So really for the first half of next week, some risk of showers and storms just about each day. We'll go out there a little deeper in the month. This is Saturday, April 20th. That looks wet. And the end of the forecast on the 25th, that would be dry, if that's correct. That's it for the Weather Xtreme video this morning. We'll have notes on the blog. The next video here by 4 o'clock this afternoon. And if you can, watch us on the live stream or the television side on ABC 3340 News at 4, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.
Hi, I'm Steve Sample with Bama Talk. Don't miss a single episode of Bama Talk Show, available now on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app, and on the web at bigbrainsmedia.com.